Hitting rock bottom is something else. When you realize you ain't got nothing but the clothes on your back and a few clothes and a bag and a cell phone, that's all I had. Looking back on that day was crazy. I said, how did I get here? But you know what? One thing I will say is that although I had nothing, I had a lot of time to think, reflect, and figure my life out. I came back to square one. I had nowhere else to go but to my grandmother's house in one of the worst neighborhoods in the city. Not the worst neighborhood, but one of the worst neighborhoods in my city. And at the time, I wasn't really focused on, the environment. I was just more so like, how could I go from being all the way up here, you know what I'm saying, to all the way down? How did I make that descent? And I just started reflecting on my life and reflecting on the decisions I made. And we tend to look at our situation and sometimes we want to blame it on other people. And although some people may influence us, some people may shape our decisions, but at the end of the day, we pull the trigger. Nobody controls us except us. So when I got to I can't say my resting place, but when I got to a place of rock bottom, I did a lot of reflecting. I spent a lot of time in isolation, just me in a back room, just thinking and reading and meditating and praying and just trying to understand who I am, where I'm at, and how I got to this place, and how the decisions I made got me to this place. Because when I add it all up, when I put it all together, the ups and the downs of my life are based off of my decisions. I can trace every decision, for the most part, that I made in my life that resulted in a crazy outcome or a beautiful outcome. And, I've been here since 2014, and it's 2020. That's 6 years, almost to the date. 6 long years of isolation, reflection, and advancement. I started from the ground. I started with nothing. Just reading books every day. I started reading the Bible. I started meditating, going inside of my mind, going within, truly trying to understand who I was as a person and what it was that I really wanted for my life. Because when I think back, when I was younger, I didn't really know what I wanted. And I know I didn't know what I wanted because I didn't know who I was. I didn't understand the power that I had to truly put into action what it is that I aspire to be. You have to know where you're going. And I've been on this journey. I had to go all the way back to the past. And I'm talking about before I was even here. I had to started looking into my ancestry. I was able to trace my ancestry back real far, see what type of people they were, how did they think. And, it was interesting because when you find out and when you look, start going within, a part of going within is understanding the people that came before you. Because who we are, how we are, is passed down to us. There's things called generational curses. You can look back on people in your family and see the type of habits they had, the type of personality they had, and the things that happen, major things that happen, and you can find yourself in them. You can see parts of yourself in them. And I learned that. I had an aunt that was writing a book. She was writing an epic story about our family history, different events that happened to certain people. And we were able to trace our family to the, I would say, the 1800s, mid 1800s. And there's many stories, that were told. And, there's a lot of trauma, a lot of pain that, our family went through, different transitions and things of that nature. And so when you have a long line of trauma in your family, that tends to become a part of you because you are a product of them. You are a descendant from them. And so, my whole life just came full circle, just asking questions, trying to figure out, who am I and what do I aspire to be? And why am I still here? And why do I still have this little bitty ounce of hope to go on? This little bitty spark to move on. Although I had nothing, I always had this burning spark that things are gonna get better. That even though things are rough right now, there was always this hope that if I read this book, maybe I'll feel better. And maybe if I feel better, maybe I can come up with a good idea. And maybe I can take this idea and maybe I can research it. And maybe I can turn this idea into a way to make some money, And so I was constantly researching things, constantly researching how to make money and, different ways to improve my life. And I realized that if you have hope, if you have faith, you don't have to have nothing else but just to have hope and faith. Those are ingredients that can turn into willpower, that can turn into you taking action on something, that can turn into an idea, and that can turn into your greatness or your success. It's no situation that you can ever find yourself in that you can't get out of. I'm living proof of that. I had nothing. I remember catching buses. I remember walking in the middle of the hood close to midnight, walking real fast in the dark, in the shadows from the lights and the streets and the trees just coming down on me. And I wasn't afraid at all. I wasn't afraid of nothing. Because when you ain't got nothing, what is there to fear? The only thing that can happen to you is ultimately death, But, isolation and going within and reflection of your life and your decisions can really truly form a bridge from where you are to where you're gonna go. There is no great life lived without reflecting upon the failures, the mistakes, the decisions. When you fail a test, when you take a test and you fail that test, how do you do better? You go back. You see where you messed up at. You see where your weak areas were. You see what areas, what topics or concepts you didn't understand, and you study them, right? You study your mistakes. You gain more information and you gain more insight on, I didn't understand this concept that well. And then you go back, right? And let's say you retake that test. Guess what? You're going to do better because you reflected. You took time out and you reflected and you went over the material. So in the same way, when you fail at life, you can go back. You can go back and isolate yourself, go within and reflect on your life and your mistakes. And You'll be surprised where you can see the areas that you can work on and hopefully improve upon. So, my take-home message is isolation, going within and reflecting upon your life. All right, y'all, I'm out.